Right, guys, we are live. Welcome to our Emerging Leaders group. We have a special guest tonight, which is going to be our number one coach in the company, Melanie Mitro. This is our third week now, right, Katie?
Yep.
Third week into our leadership group, and basically this is a group that's not so focused on rank. It's more focused on building a solid foundation and a great, successful, stable team and business. That's what we are focused on. So Melanie is going to give us some great tips on getting new coaches started right, because if you are building a business, we have to recruit coaches, and we need to make sure that they are getting on the right track in order to have them build their own team as well. So, Katie, do you want to add anything before Melanie talks?
Sure. So Melanie is a superstar diamond coach. She is both Deidre and my upline coach, which basically means that she onboarded both Deidre and myself. So she is also your upline coach. So the fact that you're in this group and you are an emerging leader means that Melanie is also here to directly help you as well. So one of the things that Melanie is sort of mastered in the last, I think, is it 3.5 years? How long have you been coaching, Melanie? So
Yeah,
3.5 years is really just helping coaches get started right. You know, when you start coaching, there is so much information that is thrown at you. You have Coach Basics, you have this 7-day quick start, you have these groups that you're part of, and sometimes it can kind of make your head spin. And because many of us have kind of been in the game for a little while now, we can often forget that overwhelming feeling. Some coaches, when they really get started, they can be so overwhelmed that instead of going, I'm just going to embrace it all and I'm going to dive in, they kind of go, oh my gosh, this is so much, I can't do it. And they almost shut down instead. So there's this sort of fine line that you have to make sure that you're really holding your coach's hand and helping them through those first few days when they start. Now, if you yourself are a new coach, which I know that a couple of my coaches in here and I know a couple of Deidre's coaches in here are brand new, and you have brought on a coach into the organization, sometimes that can be sort of scary too, because you're just learning yourself. And that's where your upline coach comes into play as well, because their job and their role is to make sure that they are giving you the equipment to help you and your personally sponsored really start to dive into the business. So, Melanie, I would love for you to sort of give us some feedback about personal experiences with getting coaches started right, maybe some things that you struggled with at first and what you really kind of really are successful with now, and then maybe just walk us through how you go about getting a coach started right. Does that sound good to you?
Sure. And if you want to stop me at any point in time for clarification, just let me know.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I have no problem.
All right. Cool. All right. So, okay. Getting new coaches started right. I actually talked about this topic at Summit. So if you want any more information on this, if you go into the Coach Online office under the video library, there's a section, I'm not sure exactly, it might be in the resources or training, and you can actually listen to the whole presentation we did at Summit too, which kind of gives you the whole gist of it, an hour-long presentation. But I feel like I've done just about everything when it comes to getting new coaches started right, and especially as a new diamond, I know for myself, if I remember back to being a brand new diamond, the first 1 or 2 working coaches I had, I just was able to pour a lot of time into them. And what ended up happening is I would get so emotionally attached to my new coaches starting, and I would do everything in my power to help them be successful, and they would quit. Or I would spend all this time investing in them, and I'd meet with them, and I'd send them resources, and we'd do calls, and they would have a traumatic life experience, and Beachbody would take a back seat. And I just couldn't understand why everybody wasn't so passionate about Beachbody like I was, right? But it wasn't other people's top priority. So I felt like month after month after month, I was failure at getting new coaches started right, but when in reality, I just kind of needed to make a little shift in what I was doing. And so I started to say, okay, I need a process for getting new coaches started right. And then I was also having coaches that were getting a little frustrated or overwhelmed with the amount of information that I was providing them. So I don't know, do you guys remember, Deidre and Katie, remember when we started making up our own coach apprenticeship programs and we'd get 1 week into it and it would go silent? We'd be like, what the heck? Nobody's interacting, nobody was posting, and it was just because we were vomiting all this information all over them. So this kind of takes me to where I volunteered at, it was a Success Club trip to Disney. And Denise Needham was standing up on stage talking about this idea of doing what's called Coach Basics and getting new coaches started right. And after the meeting, I messaged her on Facebook and said, I'd really like to be a part of this test group. It's something that I had been working on. So January, February, March, I was making my own, actually sent her my document of what I had created so far and said, can I be a part of this? And so she let me pilot this program with the rest of Beachbody and some of the other coaches. And so I got first dibs on running this and teaching my team. And what I found was that I needed to be much more simplistic in my approach. While I felt like I was doing a good thing at giving everybody all the knowledge and information by making them listen to the Coach Training Academy, by giving them every link and every document and every form, I was literally getting people, they were shutting down. And so what I was finding out is I just needed to back off a little bit, and I just needed to take it a little bit slower. So I learned that. And so the process that I have come up with through trial and error, through every single month running a coach apprenticeship program and then asking myself, how did it go? What can I tweak and what can I do better? I came up with my own little process. So when a new coach signs up and joins my team, the first thing that I do is I send them a welcome email. And no matter if they signed up strictly for the discount or if they signed up as a working coach or somewhere in between, I still send them that letter. It's just standard procedure. And so I'll welcome them to the team, and in that welcome email, it just says, welcome to the Dream Team. I'm so thankful that you chose me to be your sponsor coach. And I kind of just say a few things about how I'm glad that they're there. And I say, please watch this video. And I've created a YouTube video, so I put the link in there that really outlines the 3 different levels of coaching. So either you can be strictly a discount coach, you can be a coach that wants to go through a challenge group and is interested in coaching but kind of wants to get their own transformation or their first 30 days under their belt first. And the third type of coach is the one that's a business builder that's coming in and really wants to hit the ground running from the get-go. And I just ask them to respond to the email with which type of coach that they would like to be. Then I go on in the email and I actually talk about where the Coach Training Academy is located, how to get there, and then I actually just added a new section where I say, if you're the type of person that likes to have all the facts and information before you get started, go to the Coach Training Academy and you can watch, and I put in quotations like 3 hours worth of training videos to get you started. If you're the type of person that wants a high-level overview and wants to jump right in, watch these 2 videos. And I give them the link to a Getting Started Right call, an instant presenter call that I did a while ago that talks about the Coach Online Office and your websites and coaching codes. It's just like a basics. And then another one that Lindsay Matway and I did on how to post on Facebook and challenge groups. And I give them those 2 links, and it's 2 hours. And so I give them an option of which way they want to go, because I found that people were doing 3 hours of the Coach Training Academy and I was losing them. So that was my first change that I've made recently. So then I go on and give them the link to my Dream Team Facebook page, the closed group, which you guys can put in your team page link that you have so that they can request to join. So again, put the ball in their court to request to join the Facebook group. I tell them when our team calls are every Monday night at 9 p.m. to check the Dream Team for the link for the call for that evening. And then I go on to say, I look forward to speaking with you and helping you achieve your goals. If you are somebody that wants to get started now, my next coach apprenticeship program starts January 5th, and I just change the date every month. Let me know if this is something you would like to pursue. And then sincerely, Melanie Mitro. And I send that off. So, I tweak it every month. It's a Google document. I share it with my coaches. So if you leave this call tonight, create this welcome email for your team. And then you share it, you duplicate that on down for your new coaches as they sign coaches as well. So that was kind of the first thing. And what I do is I send them the welcome email and I don't go chasing them down. I wait to see if they pop up in the Dream Team as a request to join. I wait to see if they email me back with which type of coach they want to be. And I give them about, 3 to 4 days to see kind of what they end up doing with it, right? The other thing I do is I give, yeah?
So, question for you. Can we backtrack about this welcome email so I just know for clarification?
Yeah.
So, with your welcome email, you basically do not get on the phone with them, correct, until after they respond in some way to the email that you've given you, right?
Correct. So, and that's a good point because I just also added in there the Acuity Scheduler link. So I actually put a link in there for them to schedule a call with me. And the Acuity Scheduler is like it's a basically a calendar where you can set like I'm available from 12 to 3 to take a call. So you could block out like an hour or 2 hours where people could go in and say this is going to be my new coach call time. So I actually did put that in there just recently.
So this is kind of one of those things that's your choice. I know for me personally, I usually do get on the phone with the coaches that I sign, and I talk to them about it, but I also do have a welcome email just that sort of reiterates the things that we talked about in their Getting Started Right call. But there is a point too, like Melanie said, that you sort of have to leave the ball in their court and get a feel for really what they want to do with the business.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I have that Acuity Scheduler, which I just added in there because I do want to make sure that if somebody does want to work the business that I'm talking to them right away. So for example, my coach apprenticeship program started December 1st. So any coaches that have signed up since, December 1st are now waiting until January 5th for my next coach apprenticeship. So I gave them that link because I want to set up a call with them so that I can get them started between now and then. So I've given them assignments to do. I've given them posting on Facebook, launching your business. I started talking about like what a challenge group is, and then so that kind of got the ball rolling. So anyways, that's kind of a side note. So anyways, once I send that welcome email, I do kind of wait about a week, and then I follow up with them one time, and I follow up to see, hey, did you get the welcome email? Did you get a chance to watch the video? And what are your questions and your thoughts? And I just kind of see where they're up to. And if they never respond back to that email, that second email, I treat them as if they are a discount coach. So they are a challenger in a challenge group, and I treat them as a customer. I don't force the issue with coach apprenticeships, with training, with watching coach train, I just treat them as if they are a challenger. But what I do is when the next coach apprenticeship program comes due, a week before it's going to start, I will send an email to everybody that joined my team within the last 30 to 60 days and let them know that this is what I'm starting. If they would like to either restart their business, refresh it, or start from the beginning on day one, that this is my next group. So I kind of give them another chance. And it's just a simple email that I send out to kind of get that bug back in their ears, because maybe they ignored the first one, but now they're 20 days into their challenge group and they're kind of curious what this is all about. So that, again, it could spark that little spark for them to want to start their business too. All right. This past month, the past 2 months now, I have been doing consistently Getting Started Right interviews with every single coach that has joined my team, and I've set aside the time to do that with them. And so what are some of the things, and I've always done them, I just have been a little choosier. Like in the past, I used to require them to watch the Coach Training Academy, the full 3 hours, and then that proved to me that they had some skin in the game. Well, what I was finding out is that they were getting overwhelmed. And some of them were never completing it. Some of them are quitting. And so what I found out was that if I could get to them before they started or directly after they watched some of the videos, I had a better chance of them being successful because I could calm their fears and all those anxieties that were kind of swirling around in their minds. And so the way my Getting Started Right calls have been going is when I get on the phone, the first thing that I'm saying to coaches is, hey, I know you're overwhelmed. I know that you just, you're inundated with information. You're now in these challenge groups and you may not know anything about Facebook or how these groups work or business goes, and it just might be like somebody speaking a foreign language to you, and I get it. I was lost for about 3 months. It was like 3 months until I kind of started to figure it out, and I validate their sense of being overwhelmed because I really think that makes people feel like, oh gosh, I'm not weird, that I don't get this right away. Because I can remember not knowing, okay, did I see that in the Bombshell Dynasty? Did I see that in my challenge group? I couldn't remember where the groups were. And then I was so afraid that when I was posting things in a group that it was showing up on my timeline. So then I remember panicking, thinking that everybody could see my stuff. And here I didn't get it. So we have to remember that that's how a new coach is when they're starting, is they don't understand that. So I actually will say, like, turn off the notifications. Here's how you do it. If you don't want to be bothered when you're at work or it's distracting you. So I'm like walking through the notifications, or on the left-hand side, that's where your groups are at. And when you click the Dream Team, nobody but the people that can see that group, can see what's posted. So simple things like that is what I'm talking about at the beginning. But I'm really asking them about their goals. So what do you think? So now that you've watched some of the videos, now that you are a coach, where do you want to go with this? Kind of just tell me what's on your mind. And that is literally how I start the call. And I just let them talk. And the one thing I used to do was try to dictate the entire call and talk the entire time. But instead, I worked really hard to zip my lips and sit back and listen to them. And so most often when you sign a new coach, you have in your mind, I need an emerald because I'm going to lose my diamond rank, or I need this person to be active so that I can stay diamond, or, I need this person to be a diamond yesterday. And so we go in with this agenda, but instead take yourself out of the equation. That was one thing that it's hard to do. It takes a lot of active practicing. But once I started to listen, I realized what category people were going to fall into. Maybe they told me they wanted to be a discount, but they're clearly way more passionate. So, I started to kind of listen to that and guide them in that direction of where they wanted to go. So, like today I did a call with a girl who is the head of an HR department. She has 3 kids. She's 60 days into my challenge group, and she really wants to help people. So when I started that conversation, I'm like, okay, if you really want to help people and you're not so concerned about the money and you don't want to stress, and you don't want to jump all in, you kind of want to dabble in it, this is what you can do. You can start a free group. I said, my coach apprenticeship is not going to start till January 5th. I said, on Monday, just open up a 2-week free group. I said, and just practice inviting people to join a free group. And I talked to her about launching your business and I talked to her about what a free group was. And I said, and then you'll start my January 5th challenge group or coach apprenticeship. And then I'll teach you what to say and what to do. So in January, we'll start a challenge group together. So see, I was giving her like little free things to do. And she's like, oh, I can do that. And then she goes, well, what's Success Club? I've been reading about this. I want to hit this the first month. I'm like, well, if you want to hit it, then this is what you do, So I kind of let her direct the conversation. And then I gave her direction based on that. Guys, do you want me to touch on specifics when it comes to certain coaches? Like, what are you thinking?
So I'm just wondering, I noticed at the beginning of your conversation when you talked about your GSR, your getting started right, you mentioned that you emotionally detach yourself from your new coach. I'm just wondering, could you just offer suggestions? Because I feel like a lot of the coaches, whether they're just new diamonds or brand new, that's really hard to do. Do you have any tips or advice for that? I'm kind of putting you on the spot there.
Yeah. No, that's good because, we get really excited that this is going to be the person, the one that's going to be, the rock star that you've been waiting for. But think about a relationship. When you get burned so many times in a relationship, that you put up a wall around yourself and you almost kind of say, well, you have to prove yourself to me first. Now, it doesn't mean I'm not going to go in and nurture and love on them and give them the support that they need, but I'm just going to kind of take that, I want you to show me attitude. And so when you do that and you kind of say, like, I'm not going to get attached, they might be awesome. They have the potential to be really great. Like, I know it's there, but they have to show me. And so I do that by giving them assignments. So like that girl that I said, let's start a free group, and I want you to work on posting 2 to 3 times a day, and I want you to launch your business. I'm going to wait and see what she does. I'm going to go check her Facebook wall. I'm going to see, okay, did she launch her business? Is she starting, like I told her to take a picture of her Max 30 box and post that as her, is she going to do that? those are the kinds of things that I do to see if they follow through. So I'm not getting super excited, but I'm kind of watching from afar, and if I see that she's doing them, I'm going to message her and say, hey, you're doing an awesome job. Let's set up a call next week and let's talk about the interactions you're having and what you're doing. So I'm just kind of baby stepping it versus like rah, jumping on top of them and just kind of, going in for the kill. Does that make sense?
That's really good. No, that's really good advice, because I know that is, a concern, because it is relationship marketing. So, I mean, that is obviously something to think about. But I like that approach. Deidre, did you have any questions or comments about the GSR that she gave so far?
No, I think that was awesome so far.
One other thing too, guys, that I was thinking that I should probably mention is my binder. So I have this binder, and I have tabs, which I think Val actually talked about this on another call we did, but actually, and it's really messy, but I have tabs for each new coach, each coach that I have, and I'm a paper and pencil kind of girl, so when I do a new coach call with somebody, like I sit here and I write notes the whole time I'm talking to them. Like, let me look for one of my coaches that okay. So I actually wrote down, like, this girl, Jeanette, she owns her own business. I wrote that, her grandma or her mom is having health issues. She already has people. Like, I wrote down all of these things. And then I wrote down, like, what did I send her? Things that I sent her to work on, kind of the notes that I gave her, so that next time we talk, I can go back, and I know exactly what we talked about. And I just keep a running list. Like, I'll draw a line, then I'll write the date of the next conversation we had and a couple more notes, and then I'll draw a line. And if I want to, like, follow up, I'll highlight it, like I need to follow up to make sure she did that. And I just very simply keep a binder like this so that I can make sure that I remember, because there's nothing worse than getting on a call with a coach, and I've been on the receiving end of this, where you're like, they have no idea who I am. They don't even remember talking to me last week, or they didn't remember things about me. And that just doesn't make people feel very good. So I have started doing that, or I haven't started, I've always done that with that binder, and that really helps too for organization purposes, keep you focused.
I love that idea. I think that is awesome.
I love that too. Actually, it's something that is on my goal board for next year. So I do have another question for you. Melanie, when you first got started as a coach, was there ever a point that you really felt so overwhelmed that you just didn't know that you could continue on? And if you got to that point, can you just give a little bit of feedback about what you personally did to overcome that obstacle? Because I know that as a new coach, that can really be difficult, is that feeling of just so much information, or just so many groups and so many things. Like, what is your biggest piece of advice for coaches who are kind of feeling that?
I do remember this, actually. We lived in our townhouse, and my office was in our storage room in the basement, and I was sitting there, and I was talking on the phone there was a national wake-up call, and the speaker on the national wake-up call was Heather Richard. I don't know if you guys know who that is. And her national wake-up call just spoke to me, and I don't even remember what it was about, but I actually personally messaged her, and I asked her if she would talk to me on the phone, and she did. She actually got on the phone, and I can remember sitting in my basement crying, because I loved what I did, but I was so overwhelmed. And I just didn't know how to balance my personal life with my Beachbody life, with, just with everything. And I had this team that was starting to grow, and I still wanted to run challenge groups, and I just didn't know what ended up. I mean, I can remember sobbing, and then I got off the phone thinking, this girl, I don't even know this girl. She probably thinks I'm a lunatic, And so, but I remember thinking about, this whole managing it all. How was I going to get? And I don't even remember our conversation. I remember feeling better after that. But the one thing that kind of stuck out to me was like the 80-20 rule, and that's really what I've taken away and I've really implemented in my life is my setting my working hours, and then how am I going to manage this growing team and keep up with my challenge groups and my family. And I just really sat down and I said, all right, 20% of my time is spent with my coaches. And I kept thinking to myself, what can be in a team page? What needs to be a one-on-one? What needs to be a group call? And I just started to, in my mind, categorize things together. Sometimes I would say, okay, I only have 2 hours to do calls this week, and you two are very much the same, so let's do a group call together, you know, and I would get on the call together with people. Or I would literally do calls at 6 o'clock in the morning because my kids were still asleep, or I would drive around the neighborhood so they would fall asleep, and then I'd get on a call, and I'd do a call, and I'd be like, all right, my kids are going to fall asleep in 20 minutes. I'm going to drive around until they do, and then I'd call the person I was trying to call. You know, so I would say the first year or two of my business was just, it was kind of flying by the seat of my pants. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just doing my best to make it work at that point. Yeah.
I think I was on many of those phone calls, like right probably when you started, because I came in I think when you were about a year into it. So I love that. I love that idea, and I know that I'm Deidre, your coaches might be like this too. Some of my coaches might be thinking, man, but I'm nowhere near where Deidre is, or where Melanie is, or where Katie is. Like, I just have 1 or 2 coaches to balance. But you know, I really think that this type of call is the type of call that no matter where you are in your Beachbody business, no matter, you know, where you are, what rank, you know, how many coaches you have, how many challengers you have, it's just one of those things that is so valuable because it really goes over, if you're planning on growing this business at some point, you're going to need to know how you can get your coaches started right, who to invest your time in, how to take a simplified approach and make the most of the time that you do have. So I think that you have answered most of my questions. Deidre, what else did you kind of want to go over with Melanie while we have her on here?
Melanie did really well at answering everything that I would have asked. The only other thing that I add that my team knows that I do, and I do have a welcome email as well. We have that in our team page. So if anyone on our team needs that and they want to send that to their new coaches, just go into the file section and it's coach welcome email. You'll be able to find that and you can use it, or you can create your own and use that just as a guide. But one thing that I do is every new coach that I get started, whether they were a challenger at one time or whether they're just starting out new, there are people who want to be a Beachbody coach and were never in a challenge group. I always get them into a challenge group so they can understand how we run the challenge groups, because that is like our big focus with coaching. You know, we're here to help people change lives, and that's what we do. We run challenge groups every single month. So that's a big thing. And then the other thing I was going to say is if someone's going to sign up as a discount coach, it is so very important to still treat them as a challenger and not just forget about them. You know, I've been through it where you have them, you need a coach to go active, and they sign up as a discount coach, and then you don't follow up with them. And the only thing that's going to do is cause them to fall off track with their own health and fitness goals, have them fall off track in their challenge groups, and not have them reach their goals, and then you lose a coach. And that's where I find a lot of my coaches that have been very successful and they've had an amazing transformation is because they joined my challenge group and I've been very consistent with following up with them. So just make sure that even if they're a discount coach or not, you're just always trying to talk to them and follow up with them on a regular basis.
I think too, Deidre, we can post this in our group too. I think I have a YouTube clip about giving your preferred customers that VIP treatment, because I think we forget that sometimes. So I can post that in our team page too.
What about Success Club? You want me to touch on the whole Success Club thing too? Because I really didn't talk about that.
Sure.
No, sure. Go ahead.
No, because I was thinking, you know, once a new coach gets started, so say you've got somebody that wants to hit the ground running, like what are the expectations that you set for a new coach? So the one thing that I really focus on is Success Club 5. That's kind of the non-negotiable. And you know, as a coach, as you're talking to your new coaches, really making it simple and saying that this is easy and obtainable, and we're just going to help 3 to 5 people in your first month, and we're going to start a challenge group together. And I think that when you spin it that way, like this is easy, you've got this, 3 to 5 people, and I give them the date that the challenge group is going to start so that they have a date to invite to, and that they're not having to go out and create their own challenge group, which I'm pretty sure we all do that anyways. is we all have like a group that they can invite people to. And I find that that takes the anxiety level down and they're much more likely to do it. And so my whole focus then becomes, all right, you're going to earn your Success Starters ticket. Oh, you're going to earn your Success Starters ticket. You're going to get your first, you hear that echo?
Is it me? Because I keep showing up.
I don't know what it is. Hold on, let me do this.
Is there an echo?
I only heard it when Melanie was talking. Never mind, I hear it with me. I'll mute me.
How do I mute myself?
Melanie, you can give it a whirl because you're the only one talking, I think. And actually, Deidre, that might have been it as well. So while Melanie is working on that, the only other thing that I kind of wanted to touch on that I think works really well for me, and something that I feel like sometimes gets lost, is when you start new coaches, and if you are a new coach, sometimes we get so consumed with the idea of Facebook, right? So Facebook is where we do all our business. Facebook is where we talk to everybody, but I have found that when I get on the phone with people, they are a lot more receptive to understanding what the business is. They hear the passion in your voice. There's nothing that's lost in translation when you actually take a little bit of time to get on the phone, to explain things. Because if you're finding yourself explaining Success Club like Melanie was talking about, and it's all done on Messenger, or you're asking, hey, did you have an opportunity to check out this call? And you're not really getting on the phone with them to, talk to them. A lot of times you're just sort of getting this conversation where you're not understanding the full effect of everything. So a lot of times I get on the phone with coaches and questions pop up that they probably wouldn't have asked, or they might be confused about something or overwhelmed, and I don't realize that until I take the opportunity to call them. So that is my last piece of advice that I really have. I think we may have lost Melanie, but Deidre.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Do you want to close it out?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what Melanie was going to finish saying, but honestly, it's very important just to focus on spending as much time with the people who really want to get started with the business. I do get on calls myself with my coaches who say, this is something that they potentially want to do, because I want to be able to explain what the business is about. I want to explain my viewpoint of how it was. Oh, there's Melanie. How it was for me when I got first, when I first started. A lot of people have jobs and they're worried about what time they have with their commitment. And I just did that today with one of my coaches who's fairly new. But when you can get on the phone with them, it really gives them a better understanding and a little bit of relief that, there's potential for making this a part-time job with a full-time income. And we all start out part-time. Most of us start out part-time, and there's still lots of potential to become very successful with this. Melanie, now that you're back on, can you talk? You can't talk? No one can hear you. No. Okay. It's okay. You did really well, and I think that they got a lot of great information. I know I took notes, and it was very helpful for me. I'm really excited to create a binder to have all of my coaches with all the information. I think that was one of the best ideas, because I honestly do not do that. My notes are kind of scattered with my coaches in my other binder, so that was a great idea. And Katie had some great ideas as well with getting her coaches started right. So you are good, Katie, you don't have anything else to say? You're good? All right. I'm good. Melanie's good. If you guys have any questions, post in the Q&A, and we will be posting this into our group as well. So have a great day, guys, and take care. Have a Merry Christmas, because, you know, Christmas is coming soon. All right, guys. See ya.